What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle Carlson, and this is the Rollback BMX Podcast, the #1 BMX podcast in the universe, according to me. Welcome back, is what I am saying to me. So kicking off 2019, I took on a few new responsibilities. My schedule's been kind of crazy. I went on a bit of a hiatus here. I bought some new podcasting gear that's a bit easier to travel with, and we're back. So for all of the broken hearts out there, I'm sorry, but I am here to mend them. Kicking things off in what we're going to refer to as Season 2, we have a man who is arguably the #1 park rider over the past 5 years, Mr. Logan Martin. Logan Martin and I actually did a podcast about 6 months ago, and it disappeared. If there is a higher power on this earth, he did not want anybody hearing that. But it's good, because a lot has happened since we did that last interview. Logan won Nitro World Games, he took home an X Games gold medal, he created a child, which is on the way, and journeyed out to Saudi Arabia, which is actually where we recorded this. So I think it's safe to say this is the first ever BMX podcast recorded in Saudi Arabia. So sit back, listen up, prepare to get educated by one of Australia's finest. This is the Rollback BMX Podcast with Logan Martin. All right, Logan, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. We're in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think in the history of BMX, this is probably the first ever podcast recorded in Saudi Arabia.
I think so.
So we're changing the world here.
What's that?
We're changing the world.
We are. We're pretty much doing world first every day. Everywhere.
It's like the goddamn Nitro Circus over here. So, throwing it back, a bit of backstory here. You and I actually did a podcast, and it is the first and only podcast I ever accidentally deleted like an idiot. And I remember
that was fun too. It was a good conversation.
It was good, and I remember thinking when we were doing it, I was like, okay, this is cool. And I remember like I had to push you to do it because you were like, oh, I want to do it after the event.
Yeah,
and I was like, I got to go somewhere after the event. Can we do it now? And you're like, yeah, whatever, we can do it now. And then I blew it. So I took you out of your comfort zone, and then I totally screwed it up. So thank you for 7 or 8 months later?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. We're back. Take 2.
Maybe it's a good thing because I think a handful of things have changed. Obviously, injuries were kind of a crazy one. It seems like you're on the better side of those. I don't know if you knew at that point you were going to be a dad.
No.
So that's a huge one.
It was, yeah. So
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a minute.
So pretty much we did it at Nitro Games.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it actually turns out maybe the week after is when she actually got pregnant.
So you were having sex after the interview?
Yeah, well, when I posted the photo, I said post-contest celebrations. I guess it was after Nitro Games. So yeah, I'm going to be a dad in 2 months, which is really exciting.
How old are you?
25.
How do you feel about all that? Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready. You know, I always said I sort of wanted to be a dad around 30. That's when my parents had me. But like I feel ready, and when I met Kim, it was, everything sort of moved pretty quick.
You haven't been with her that long, have you?
Under 2 years. So
okay.
Pretty much like around the time where my son will be born, will be about our 2-year anniversary. So like everything moved super quick. She moved in pretty quick, and everything sort of just flowed real well. And
I remember you were like single Logan for like a week. Like,
it was a few months, but it would have seemed like a week because we didn't see each other for a little while. But
yeah.
Everything sort of moved real quick with her, but it all felt right. And now we're having a kid together, and we're engaged, and
that's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. I'm super excited for that.
So, all right. So, looking back to when you were a child, what is one thing your parents did that you want to do for your kid? What is one thing your parents did wrong you want to fix for your kid?
I don't know. I mean, sort of hard to say. I had a good upbringing. My parents didn't really have money and stuff like that, but they always supported me in everything they could do. But I mean, they taught me good morals and be respectful and stuff like this, and that's sort of just what I want to show my kids, and just have good morals and have a happy life. Yeah.
Is there anything your parents did that you're like, okay, I'm going to do the opposite?
I don't even know. You've put me on the spot. I can't really.
No, come on, insult your parents.
I mean, everything was pretty good in my upbringing.
Are you an only child?
Nah, I have a brother, 1 year older.
What does he do?
Nothing.
Is he doesn't have his shit together? Or?
Nah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it does suck. Like when he was younger, he started riding first. Which got me into riding.
Yeah.
Then obviously it progressed for me, but he had a crash and just stopped riding after that, and sort of spiraled a little bit. But
Is he like on drugs or anything, or is he?
Yeah, he smokes weed. He doesn't do any
That's
like he's
fine.
not addicted to gnarly shit. But he doesn't have a job, but he has 2 kids, and he's sort of just bumming around, which sucks. Like I thought like me working so hard and doing well would give him motivation, being the older brother, but it sort of hasn't, and he's just sort of stuck in a hole, which it sucks to see. But he's got he's got 2 beautiful kids, and they're awesome.
So hopefully it all
hopefully it all works out. Yeah, for sure.
It's a tough one, because I think when somebody like you has such great success, I think for the siblings, it's either A, I'm finding motivation in your success, or B, I resent your success.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a lot of people I knew that were two sibling families, and one of them did really well, and the other one like takes it one of 2 different ways. You know?
Which I guess like for me, like I would get motivation from that, but so like everyone's different, obviously, and obviously he hasn't found any motivation from that at all, but. Like he knows what he needs to be doing, he just doesn't. Like it's just hard for someone to start doing something they've done for so long. Especially,
I can see that too when you have kids and you're, it's a lot harder, I think, at that point to be like, I'm going to school, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like I got this other stuff holding me down and whatnot.
Yeah.
But are your parents psyched for you to have another grandkid then?
Yeah. My mum's super stoked. She was sort of waiting for it, and she loves it. Like she obviously loves my niece and nephew, and. Yeah, she was like they're 3 and 5, but yeah, she's super pumped on that. She's excited.
How were your parents with BMX when you were growing up?
Good. Like they were super supportive in anything I did. When I was younger, I played football for about 8 years. That's what I did when I was a kid. And
as us Americans would call soccer.
Nah, so rugby league.
Oh, okay.
So like I guess it's
Australian rules football. Is that what it is?
Nah, it's similar. Like it's definitely not like AFL, but it's a type of like a football.
It's funny how complicated that gets.
Contact sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were super supportive in that, and when I started riding, they'd take me to the skate park if I needed to go, and there was no indoor skate parks and stuff like that. So when we were down the skate park to learn new stuff, we'd find mattresses and stuff, and put them there as a softer landing, I guess, like a resi.
Your bullshit foam pit resi.
Yeah. And so my dad would drive around on the weekends, looking for foam mattresses for us and stuff like that, and like just little things like that always sort of helped, and the support was always there if I needed to go to the skate parks, or there was a little local competition an hour away, they'd always take me and stuff like that. So that was good.
How do they? What do they think about your success?
I mean, they're stoked on it, obviously.
Yeah. Did they come to X Games and stuff? Did they do much? Or?
My mum came to Jew Tour in 2013.
Okay.
So that was the first Jew Tour.
But they haven't been around when you were the baddest motherfucker, though.
Nah.
That was like when you were like new. And,
yeah. So, my mum came to Jew Tour in 2013 because like I always watched it on TV, and like that's where I wanted to go, and so she was super stoked, and she actually surprised me. I was over there, I didn't think she was coming over. She showed up, and I was like, that was super cool. But since I've been winning and doing the stuff I'm doing, there hasn't been a whole lot of support from their end, just because they can see I'm doing it all myself.
You got it handled pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like they gave you the tools when you were younger.
Yeah. And we had at the village the other weekend. It's a 40-minute drive for them, but they didn't even come and watch, which is a bit disappointing, but it doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah.
I still just do what I'm doing. But when I was growing up, they were super supportive, which was good. It led me to be who I am.
I think that's when you need it the most.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So, obviously, like it is what it is now. But it would have been good for them to be there and watch. But it doesn't necessarily matter either.
A lot more than that, you see the flip side where it's like they don't give a fuck, and then you start doing well, and all of a sudden they care.
Yeah.
It's like your way seems like, all right, we set him up, he's good.
Yeah, exactly. And that sort of is what it is. It would be probably worse if it was the other way around.
Yeah. I think much worse.
You'd be grinding even harder when you're younger, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's when it counts. That's when you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
But how did you end up getting in riding in the first place? Was it because of your brother?
Yeah, because of my brother. So we moved pretty close to us. Like we literally moved around the corner from a skate park, like a minute ride down the street. So yeah, my brother was going down there. Then I started going down. Like I had a 16-inch. So I'm like, I'll go down and ride. And yeah, just pretty much that. Just moved close to the skate park. He was going down. I started going down. And sort of when I was younger, I was like, me and my brother we didn't hang out. I was the embarrassing little brother, I guess.
Of course, we all were.
Yeah, so that's sort of how it was. But I went down there just because he was there, and like he always had my back and stuff like that. But we wouldn't necessarily hang out. And then he sort of got over riding, and then that's just sort of how it started for me. I enjoyed it. All my friends and stuff, I started to meet down there.
How old were you at this point when you first started getting into it?
I was about 12 or 13.
Okay.
On a 16-inch. So then I rode that for a little bit, just learned little tricks here and there, one-handers and stuff like that, and I sort of picked it up pretty quick.
Were you a small kid? Like,
I was a small kid.
You needed the 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like coming back to when I was younger, playing football, like I was always the smallest kid on the field, but I always just had passion in anything I was doing. So I was always giving it 100% on the field and stuff like that, and I think I was pretty good. Like when I was playing football. But then I faded out of that, started riding the skate park and enjoyed that more. And I was a small kid. So the 16-inch was pretty good. Then I started sort of growing around that time. And then my back started getting sore riding the small bike.
Yeah.
And then I actually got a scooter for a little bit. Not stoked on that, but it is what it is, really.
It was Australia. It was the early 2000s.
Yeah, so I got a scooter, and I pretty much got a scooter because it was cheap, and I was waiting for Christmas time to get a new bike or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying riding a scooter for maybe 4 or 5 months or something like that, and I actually learned flips on a scooter first. Then I took it onto got my bike, started riding my bike properly, and then I started learning like backflips.
Quick sidebar. Do you think there are some tricks that might be good to learn on a scooter? Like as a
I
method?
actually think like scooter, like if you were a previous scooter rider, you adjust to BMX so much easier, and
because I could almost see certain kids being less intimidated by sending something on a scooter than on a bike.
Yeah.
Then I look at like Jeremy Malott doing 5 flares on box flips. That's because he learned that shit on a scooter.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's where it comes back to. He was a super good scooter rider. He jumped on a bike and learned everything like in the first year. Like he was doing flare drops, super quick, and obviously 5 flares, good, like really good pop.
And he could be a bad example because he's super talented.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if because I mean, like anybody will hop on a scooter and try a tail whip. Could it help with confidence? Is there?
Yeah, I think it does. Like that definitely, like learning backflips on a scooter first helped with my confidence to know that I can.
Like
go upside down.
You would have been scared to do it on a BMX bike.
Yeah, first. Yeah. So I actually learned backflips just fly out of the skate park, never into a foam pit. We didn't have any foam pits or anything back then, and so as I said, we got some mattresses. Me and my mate actually went down to the skate park super early, got a wheelbarrow. There was a sand pit close by. We laid some sand like as a bed, then put some mattresses over it to what we could land on.
And that's what you learned flips on?
And that's where I learned flips. I literally flipped over the whole thing. Missed the whole thing, but it was still the confidence sort of thing there. But that's how I learned flips, just onto mattresses, never into a foam pit.
How old were you when you learned flips?
Must have been 14, maybe.
Okay.
14, maybe 15, maybe towards the end of 14.
But you were getting pretty good pretty young.
Yeah. Like pretty quick. I was learning tricks, pretty quick and stuff like that. I think the first trick I learned on my pity was like a half cab, like a fakie and then a half cab.
Oh yeah.
That was like that. From what I can remember is I remember learning half cabs on that. But yeah, I was sort of picking up tricks pretty easy, and I had another mate that was sort of the same, so we were sort of learning with each other.
Does he still ride?
No, he dropped out. Like 16, 17, maybe started partying and, got into cars and stuff like that, and then started working and whatever. But that was good. That was real good for me because we learned whips at the same time and sort of, just progressed together. Then
super motivating.
Yeah. It was really good. And like, if he learned something, it's like, he can teach me doing this. And if I learned something, sort of vice versa. And it helped my riding a lot. And then he dropped out, and all my friends at that time, 16, 17, started dropping out. Then I had to find a new group to ride with, and it sort of just transitioned into finding new groups that would keep pushing me. And that's obviously when I started to hang out at Bulldog.
Were there any like pro dudes in your area? Guys you kind of looked up to?
I mean, like obviously Gutler was from the same area, but he was living in the States.
Okay.
Colin McKay and stuff like that. But not
that was still in Australia.
Yeah, not that I was still in Australia. But then when I was about 17, I met Kyle, which at that time he was like super good. Like, it was 16 when I met him. But he was super good. I'm like, he's like the next best thing, and turns out he was. And it was good that we actually got along really well. And
Is he
and
the
was
same
pushing
age
me.
as you?
No, he's 2 years older.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's a little bit older, but like that was good that I started riding with him because he was pushing me to learn new things because he was a lot better than me at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I needed advice on a trick or something, he was always there to give me guidance, and that really helped my riding.
You know, when you're young like that, when you're 15, 16, 17, that 2-year gap can be a big deal.
Yeah.
When you get older, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But when you're that age,
yeah, like different grades in high school and stuff like that. But although he like we didn't go to the same school or anything like that, but yeah, like
be honest. Be honest. Did Kyle Baldock go to school?
I don't really know. Maybe for a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the 2-year gap is pretty substantial when you're younger.
Yeah, especially if you had 2 more years riding and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever saw you was the video. I think it was training for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Kind of ironic now that this is a real thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was you and Kyle. Do you remember the video I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Were you 16, 17 when that came out?
Yeah, I must have been 17, I think.
Okay, and then so Kyle was 18, 19?
Yeah.
Because that was, I think everybody kind of knew Kyle was the man, but that was really my first introduction to you. Was that kind of the first thing you put out?
Yeah, I mean, I put out a few edits before then. Just obviously when I like 15, I didn't edit. Maybe 16, I didn't edit. Maybe even 14, I might have done one.
Okay.
There's a few like old videos that I watched. And I'm like, that's interesting.
That's awesome.
Like, it's cool to watch. But yeah, that was sort of the first one where I put out when I was starting to get pretty good. Starting to do tail whip, like whip bars in an air and flip double whips and stuff like that. So when I started doing that stuff and we put that video out, it's sort of great timing.
Yeah. I remember, so that happened before Do Tour Portland?
Yes. Okay. That was before, yeah.
Because I remember, I think I told you the story last time.
So I think that was 2010 we put the video out. 2011 was, the free flow. That's when I went to America.
Okay.
But 2010 is when the compound opened, which is where we did training for the Olympics.
Okay.
So that sort of worked out really well. That's how I started learning bigger tricks and stuff like that.
Having a better park, riding with Kyle.
Foam pits and resis, and that was really good.
That was Kyle Baldock of that era too. Kyle still kills it, but like there was that one era when he was like, I don't know if he was just hungry and riding every day or what, but just like, and every trick, every contest was something different.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this guy's the 1080 guy and this guy's a double flip guy. So and he was like, no, I'm all those things.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was when he had like motivation and it was killing it, riding every day with us and riding the events, and he was
when you're young and you don't get hurt as bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember, so you make it into that Portland free flow contest. Was that a final? You had to win a stop to get into that?
Yeah, so I went to the States. I wasn't even going to go to the States actually, and Matt White's like, man, you're gonna go get nowhere being in Australia, like, so you need to go to the free flow.
Had he been living in the States a little bit?
The previous year
he was in Greenville for the summers.
Yeah. So 2010, I think he went there, and obviously I saw all these events online, and like, that'd be sick to go there, but I sort of thought I should have waited a little bit at that time. So I'm like, maybe I won't go in 2011. And Matt White's like this was a week before I went to the States. Matt White's like, man, you need to go. Like, there's nothing in Australia. Everything's overseas. So I think that like the next day I booked the flight. I had like a shirt sponsor at the time that paid for the flight.
Is that JC?
No, it's called Sick Air.
That's a good name.
Yeah, so it was really nothing, but it was literally nothing. But I signed a contract for like a $5,000 flight budget or something. Then his company went bust maybe halfway through. So then he still paid out half of the money that I signed for.
That's one of those things
which covered the flight, which was good.
When you look at like the grand, you look at business as a whole, like, oh, that sucks. But then like when you're that kid, when you're that 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid that needs a flight, that's huge.
It worked out real well. So I was able to pay for that flight. The next week I went to the States and I was only there for about 4 days to ride JC skate park in Greenville. Then we had the free flow event, which I
was
won.
at JC.
Yeah, it was JC, which I ended up winning, giving me the ticket to go ride the finals in Portland.
So did you go home and they flew you from Australia?
Nah, so I went to the States for 3 months. So I booked
Greenville.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stayed there for a few months. I think it was about 2 months, and then I went to Greenville. Then I went to Dew Tour, then I flew home from there.
So I remember.
So I was like riding Mirror's Way House and stuff like that.
Did you get a lot of progression at that time?
Yeah. That was really good riding that.
So
riding bigger ramps and stuff. So
was Baldock there at the time as well?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I remember those days, the Mirror Warehouse days when Baldock was kind of new in the States. Was just like, who the hell is this guy? Man?
Just fully blew up there.
So I was at that Dew Tour in Portland, and it was after the training for the Olympics video came out. So I was real psyched. I was like, I had a lot of shit going on because there were so many events, and I just had heavy workload.
Yeah.
And I would generally skip those just because I'm not going to cover the AM thing because there's so much pro stuff going on. And I'm so busy as it is. But I knew you were riding it, so I was like, I got to go watch this.
Yeah.
I saw this kid there. This kid could be the next dude. This is right when Baldock's killing it. And I went there, and I didn't think he did that good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember too much of how I rode. I did come second. Lupos won that one.
Okay.
But like the box jump, I think was like 16 foot long. Like it was a pretty big box jump, but I still did some stuff on it. Like I triple trucked it and stuff in my run, but I think the course just was a little bit funky, and I didn't really adjust to it that well, so I couldn't, I guess, perform at my best. But even looking back at it now, I wasn't really that good back then.
You weren't ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because after watching that video, obviously GC Compound was your local spot, and when you're filming, it's different than a contest.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I didn't think you were going to win the free flow. I thought, okay, this might be the guy that can win the contest.
Yeah,
the actual contest. After watching you ride with Baldock. So, but I think that happens a lot. You see a kid kill his local park, and you're like, he's the man. And then he just
goes somewhere else, and it's and that was sort of what it was. It was like, I guess at that time I was good at the compound and the local spots, but I couldn't really adjust to a skate park that well. Nowhere near as well.
Especially
as
a park like that.
Yeah.
Like if you've never ridden a Dew Tour before.
Big ramps and stuff. Like it was different for me at the time. So I guess I probably struggled with that a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, you still got second. You lost to another dude who's top of the game. Was there anybody else in that's still around?
Yeah, so Mike Gray.
Oh yeah.
He was riding. He's now
cool.
real good at street.
Yeah.
There's a few dudes.
Dude, those free flows are cool because a lot of you look like there was one that was like Devin Smiley, Brock Rayford, maybe Michael Laren. Like there's just each one of them has a few guys that are
well, I think the year before I went, Kevin went and he won or something, and obviously Kevin, like everyone knows, he's killing it now.
Yeah.
So the free flows now, I look back on the free flows and I'm like, they were really good for the progression of the up and coming riders.
Yeah. It's kind of weird just the way the landscape changed, where it almost like how good the guys were that were winning those. There's guys that are going on the whole Feast tour that could not have won those. You know what I mean? Like kind of weird, but I don't know, I guess it's just the whole changing landscape with Olympics and all that nonsense and whatnot.
Yeah.
So what was your first big contest that you won?
Montpellier Feast.
Okay.
So that was in 2013. That was the first big one that I won. The end of 2012, I went to Paris for a Feast event, like
one of those one-off ones, right?
Yeah. Like there was a Red Bull Skylines in Paris, which I couldn't ride. I was there for the contest,
but you weren't invited.
I wasn't invited to ride the event. As much as anyone said, he'll do well.
Doesn't
or whatever.
matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah. So I didn't end up getting to ride that, but I wasn't there for that. I was there for the Feast event, which was just a mini ramp contest at like a gaming event.
Was it like a press conference or something, and they just did a little contest at it, or was
it was like a full on gaming, like releasing of new games and Xbox games and stuff like this, and there was just a mini ramp there. I forget what the sort of event was called, but there was heaps of booths set up for gaming and all this stuff like Call of Duty and all that sort of stuff, and then there was just a mini ramp Feast contest, which I ended up winning. And Durs come second, Michael Baran come third. So I was super stoked to take that win, to beat dudes that were at the top of that time.
Was that the first time you really beat those guys?
Yeah. Okay. That was the first time I really competed against anyone at that level.
Okay.
And then a few months later, like start of 2013, I went to Simple Session, come sixth, I think. Like made the finals, come sixth. I didn't ride too well, but then sort of pulled a new trick, and it sort of just started, rolling on from there. I got sponsored by Rockstar. I went to Montpellier and won that event, which was, I guess, super super surprising to me. I don't think I had the confidence going into that event knowing I could win.
Yeah.
Just knowing that I can go there and ride my bike.
One of those deals where you wanted to go make finals.
Sort of something like that. And then I made the finals, and I'm like, sick. Like that was good. I'm gonna do more tricks in my finals. And I ended up winning the event, so that was super awesome. Then I just, the confidence started boosting, and I was starting to ride a lot better. And that really just helped push my riding events and bigger ramps and different ramps and being able to adjust to different skate parks.
Yeah. And since then, it's kind of just been all hell broke loose.
Yeah, just kept spiraling. I guess it was yeah.
Do you
really good.
keep track of results at all?
In what sense?
I just mean like I don't have any sort of formal paperwork, but it just seems like since then it's kind of like you've won more shit than you haven't.
Yeah. Well,
like more than half the events you go to, you win.
Yeah. Well, I guess I keep that stuff in my mind. I try to limit the bad days at events. Yeah, obviously I go to every event just trying to do my best.
Yeah.
Going into events feeling comfortable and happy and just in a good place, mentally and physically. And yeah, as long as I'm doing that, I'm just trying to make sure I'm pulling runs at events. And yeah, I guess I don't necessarily take a list, but I do try and make sure there's more ones than than less.
Do you have the mentality of if you go to an event and you don't win, you're pissed?
Yeah.
Because you know you can and you should.
Yeah, exactly. Super disappointed. It's anyone that's super competitive and knows they can win an event, goes into an event and doesn't do as well as they want to. It's not a good time for that day, maybe for the next week. Like it's really, it's shit. Like it's tough. It's tough. It really is tough.
I see,
which I try to avoid.
I see a lot of the guys in the competition circuit that are just trying to be happy and fun and stuff. And I'm like, I just think back to watching Dave Mira fucking throw a fence.
Yeah. I heard about that story and I'm like, yeah, actually, I think I remember watching that. But yeah. It's never a good time.
We were talking about just like everybody gunning for the Olympics right now. And I honestly feel like all the U.S. men, like none of them seem to have that mentality. Yeah. Maybe Justin Dowell does, but he's young and I don't think his skills and experience is quite there to match it yet. Yeah. But it's like, man, how are you guys like not bummed when you don't win? Like,
for sure,
like Colton Walker, I'm like, dude, you should be fucking pissed if you're not winning. You're so good. And now like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. You know? And it's just a bummer because it's like so much potential, so much talent, but it's like,
I guess like it gets hard. Like when if you lose events, semi regularly, it's mentally draining. I guess like when you're that bummed all like every event. So maybe like they're just getting to the point where they're like, I shouldn't take it out of myself. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm just saying maybe
everybody's
that's
different
the way
too.
It is. Yeah, exactly. But I definitely get super bummed. I'm super competitive and I want to always do like my best, and I know what my best is. Yeah. So I'm bummed when I don't achieve good results.
Yeah. When you were a kid riding BMX and whatnot, is this what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I guess like when I was riding. When I started riding all the time and really enjoying it, and I was watching, Mike Spinner at G-Tour and Durs and like all the top dudes at that time. I'm like, far out, that's where I want to be. Like I want to go to G-Tour, I want to ride, I want to go to X Games, and that's exactly like the plan I had. In high school, grade 12, one of my teachers asked me like, what do you want to do when you're older? I'm like, I want to be a BMX rider. She's like, like a realistic job. I'm like, that's what I want to do. Look at me now, but it's going real well for me. That sort of was the plan to do this. Yeah.
Did you ever think you could make a good amount of money doing it?
I guess I didn't really think about the money at the time.
God,
I just wanted to be
beautiful being young and not
I wanted to be in the spotlight, on TV, winning events, and people watching me. Pretty much, I wanted people watching me, and wasn't necessarily thinking about the money, but
because I'm guessing right now you make more money than your family.
Yeah.
And you like, does that change you much? I mean, does it change your life at all?
Obviously, like when I started making money in BMX, like my first year was better than both my parents combined. Like it was, it was unreal to start earning that money straight off the bat. And over the years, it's obviously progressed into a whole lot more than that. I mean, the early days, it started to change me. A kid having no money to go into having money.
It's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it is dangerous, but I sort of obviously going back to my parents teaching me when I was younger, they always sort of didn't just buy things to buy things. They didn't have a whole lot of money, so they had to buy what they needed, or what we needed, the kids. So I sort of learned from that. My dad was good at not spending money, so that I sort of learned from that. And I watched people around me that had money just blow their money.
Yeah.
so I didn't want to do that. And yeah, I guess I just, was pretty decent with my money and decent with not spending it, decent at saving it. And over the years, I saved quite a bit of money, and then I started to invest.
So tell me about those investments. I know you just bought a bigger house, right?
Yeah. So now
I kind of need that if you got the kid coming.
Yeah. I mean, so now I own 2 properties. I'm renting one of them out, and I've just moved into a new place, bigger land, bigger house. It's just I just want to sort of set up a life after BMX as well. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do after BMX, job wise, but I'm real fascinated with business. Obviously, moving to Mike Spinner, he was real successful in BMX and even more successful now in business, which is obviously a dream. You want to make it after BMX as well.
And I think Mike took that mentality where he worked really hard at BMX and he worked just as hard, if not harder, and it's I think you have the method. You know what it takes to be good at something.
Yeah.
So if you can go all in, I don't think you can do both. These guys try to have a business and ride and stuff. I think it's like, no, man, this is what I do.
Got to do
65 hours a week.
Which is also what I think, a lot of people say, you should start a YouTube. And it's but I ride contests. I don't want to do 40% at YouTube and 60% at a contest. I want to do 100% at a contest and put all my energy into that. So that's what, I do think about, what am I going to do after BMX, but I'm not going to necessarily try and pursue something and go down 2 paths while I'm riding contests and trying to win. And obviously before the Olympics, I'm not going to do stuff like that. But I want to put my money in a good place, which is also going to benefit me in the long run as well.
So are you thinking properties for the time being?
Yeah, for the time being. I'm making a little bit of money off my rental property right now as well, and which is good. I bought that house, I rented it out, and now I have to do nothing, and that money just comes in. It's good to see. Yeah. It's good to see that, and
the rich get richer.
Yeah. so that was sort of the best path I saw as an investment. I don't have to do too much.
Did somebody teach you that, or did you just kind of?
I just sort of learned it along the way, I guess. I saw that as a good opportunity. I always wanted to buy a house and own my own property. My parents only just bought a house maybe when they were 50.
Oh wow!
Okay. So they were always renting and just we were moving around a lot, and I always just saw
what were you, 22, 23 when you bought your first one?
Yeah, 2017 I bought my first one.
Okay.
So 2023.
Yeah, that's awesome.
2017 I bought my first one. 2018 I bought my second. So, so I was sort of sitting on it for a little while, what should I do? What house should I buy? How I should go about it. So at that time I was just banking money, just letting it roll in and just saving it. And it's difficult having that money there, being if I could go buy this sick car or whatever. Being a young kid and liking stuff like that. It's
what I've done to deal with that is just never have the money. It makes it easier.
Makes it easier, but it was super difficult not to spend my money and stuff like that. But then, it obviously paid off, and I was able to buy my house. And
it's crazy because I look at you and you're a successful guy and you make good money, and it's just crazy to me. Thinking if you were 6 or 7 years before, how much fucking money you would have made.
Yeah.
You would have had the $150,000 shoe deal, had the $150,000 clothing deal, had the 3 or 4 companies doing the match bonuses on these events. You're already making, a few $100,000 a year, whatever, kicking ass, doing what you're doing, and it's just that booming method. Nobody was really doing what you're doing as far as dominating. BMX is crazy, man. It's a bummer that I look at a guy like you who's good-looking guy, successful, incredible accolades, and you kind of have 2 sponsors.
Yeah. Which is crazy,
and shout out to them. I know they both take great care of you, really, but it's just remember just looking at Dave Mara, and it's could you fit any more stickers on that fucking helmet?
Logos, which is crazy, and it's just different eras, I guess, and this era isn't the best one for having a lot of sponsors, but it really is what it is. You can only do the best you can do in your time.
No,
and it's what I'm just trying to do.
It's good for you because you are doing okay because you are winning everything and whatnot. But it's crazy when I look at guys that are at the top, and obviously you're at the top. There's some guys that are near you, and it's man, a lot of these guys are one sponsor loss away from getting a job, and they're
exactly
legit
right.
dudes,
And there is a few dudes that are doing really well but struggling with money.
Yeah,
they don't have those sponsors they don't have the money coming in all the time. They've got to go to the event to make money, and if they don't do well at the event, then they're struggling.
And then that money goes to the plane ticket for the next event. And stuff,
exactly. So it is difficult for people that aren't at the top.
So let's talk about the Olympics. Talk about the Olympics a little bit. Speaking of sponsors, maybe that could lead to some more crazy shit. We'll see where that all heads. What were your thoughts when this whole Olympic thing popped up? Obviously, this probably isn't something you were thinking about as a kid because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Did this kind of change your thought process, your goals, or anything? Or?
No, it didn't necessarily change anything I'm doing because what I'm doing is working. That's sort of what I like to stick to what's working. But I mean, definitely the Olympic movement I'm super stoked about. It's we're putting BMX in the biggest stage of them all. They get a whole heck of a lot of viewers. It's just going to put BMX in front of a lot more kids. Hopefully we're going to get a lot more kids riding bikes after the Olympics. And I guess being on the TV and stuff like that, and obviously that's where I started to see BMX, and I wanted to be that guy, and it's just going to put BMX in front of a whole lot of a whole different crowd as well. So it's super cool that the BMX is in the Olympics now.
So when you look at this Olympic thing, obviously I think a lot of people don't realize how few people are going to be there.
Yeah.
Is it 9 riders, one of which is Japan, so they're already there?
Yeah.
One country sends 2 guys. So it's literally possible that somebody as good as you could not be there.
Exactly. Yeah, which is super crazy.
How are you approaching that?
I'm just taking it as it comes. As I said, I don't change anything I'm doing. I'm going to go to every event doing the best I can do. And, if I am still doing the best I'm like I have been doing, then I will make it to the Olympics. We've got a pretty strong team right now. Me Lupos has been killing it as well, which is really good.
Right now, it seems like Australia is going to be the team sending 2 guys. It seems like
which would be really good.
If nothing happens injury wise, if there's no flukes, it seems like you and Brandon are the 2 guys. that are gonna. For those who don't know, the country with the 2 guys that score the highest, or the country with the most amount of points, gets to send 2 guys.
Send 2 people. Yeah.
So,
and then every other country, which I think will be 6 countries, will send 1 rider. Japan will send one, and
then the World Championship, whoever wins the World Championship.
Yeah, exactly. So it's super tight, but I'm not necessarily thinking about that too much. I think everything will play out as it is. If you actually saw in my post about before the championship when I wrecked my ankle, it was I believe everything happens for a reason, and I think it'll play out the way it's meant to play out. If it plays out that I go to the Olympics, that's exactly what I want to play out. Is it meant to happen? I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
But everything will play out the way it's meant to play out.
So what do you think about the whole? They try to. The weirdest thing about the Olympics is they try to push this team aspect, Team USA, Team Australia, but with so few guys invited, they're creating the biggest rivalries possible.
Yeah.
Like you and Lupos are arguably 2. You could be the 2 best contest guys right now. It's entirely possible. And if only one of you guys goes, it's like you guys head to head, but you're both representing the same country.
Yeah.
It's like, is there any animosity between you guys?
I mean, not necessarily. I think he's in the same boat as me. It's he's there to do the best he can do.
Yeah.
We're both trying to do the best for ourselves. But as I said, it's going to play out the way it plays out. But the team aspect of it is pretty. It's interesting. We've never done that before. What I mean? We've never had a team. It's always been individual, and it's going to be interesting.
I was at USA Cycling headquarters, the Olympic Training Center in Colorado, with the USA team for something about a year ago, and they showed this video, and it was some baseball team, and somebody wanted to take their hit to win, but they gave it off to the next person so they could hit it because they're a better hitter and they could win, and it's just pushing this big team thing, and hey, it's a team, you got to do it for the team, and it's you guys, do you realize you're looking at 6 guys here that all want the same thing, and only 1, maybe 2 of them will get it? This isn't fucking baseball.
Yeah, it's insane. And when I found out there was only 9 riders going to the Olympics, I'm necessarily only 1 from each country.
Yeah,
for the most part, that's big call. That's pretty crazy.
It's kind of a bummer because I don't think it'll be a fair representation of BMX.
Yeah.
Where if you and Lupos are, let's say you're the best guy and Lupos is number 3.
Yeah.
He might not get to go, but he could be the 3rd best park rider in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right.
There's not going to be a situation where you, Brandon Lupos, Nick Bruce, and Justin Dow are all going to be there.
Yeah.
One of you 3 will not be there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just
which is crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's
2 of you 3 might not. 2 of you 4 might not be there. It's just it's weird. It's cool,
Yeah,
but it's also
cool, but it's weird. Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Hopefully it goes well, and next time around they're going to do an actual event.
Yeah,
you know,
where you can have maybe 24 riders and then have a qualifying and stuff like that.
Actually,
like
put it out.
Qualifying at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Are
you?
I guess it's all going to be a learning curve as well.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty early for you to start making claims about this and stuff. But do you see a few Olympics in your career?
Yeah, I think so. I think I see at least 2, obviously next year and the one after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only 25.
Yeah.
Durs is still at the top of his game, at the top of the game.
Almost 10 years older than you. Almost,
yeah. So I do see a few more Olympics in me. Yeah.
Do you? So with your mentality, if you get to the point where you're doing your best, you're doing your shit, and you're a 5th place guy, would you walk away, or would you?
Yeah. So I guess
you know what I mean. Though,
yeah. No, I fully do. I don't want to be not able to win a contest if I'm going to the contest.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like the last 6-7 years, I've been at the top of the game. I've been going to every event knowing that I can win and, being able to back that up. I think it would feel bad. Like, I would feel bad if I couldn't go, if I went to an event and I couldn't win. I was doing the best I can do, but I couldn't win. I think
your best is 5th place.
Yeah. I don't think I could really take that. I think it would just, as I said earlier, be mentally draining. So it would get to a point where I wouldn't want that to happen. Yeah.
That's why you set yourself up with rental properties and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't need the money. You don't.
Yeah.
You can actually walk away when the time is right.
Yeah.
One thing you were telling me when we talked before I deleted it like an asshole. You had an interesting story about. I was asking you about tattoos.
Yeah.
Because you were pretty heavily tattooed up
at
a young age.
Yeah.
And you have like deep family connections with tattoos, right? Your grandfather?
Yeah, so my uncle is the one that tattooed me.
Okay.
He tattooed my whole body. My pop was really like renowned for tattooing in Australia.
That's grandfather?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So and then my grandma actually gave me my first tattoo.
That's so crazy.
On my forearm, which is now covered up, but she was the first female tattooist in Australia actually. My step grandmother.
How old are you when you got your first tattoo from your grandmother?
16.
What was it?
Southern Cross,
okay.
It's like it's on the Australian flag.
Yeah.
Which I guess like in Australia it's like it's a bogan thing to do.
Okay.
Like a lot of bogans have it and whatever. But I got that, but then eventually got it covered up just because it didn't work with everything else we were doing.
Yep.
But yeah, so my grandma was the first female tattooist in Australia, which X Games did a story on that, so a lot of people are like fascinated about that. Actually,
That's awesome.
It is pretty interesting, yeah. And then my step grandmother was also a tattooist. My auntie, my uncle's kids, like it's pretty. It's all on my mum's side of the family. They're all tattooists.
So, are your parents tattooed?
Yeah, they're not heavily tattooed like me, but like my mum has a back piece and like a few little tattoos here and there. My dad has a couple of little pieces, but not heavily tattooed.
It's cool because I look at somebody like you and I'm like, he must be an irresponsible kid. And it's like, oh, there's actually like deep family roots here and stuff. So you have tuxedo pretty much, right? Your whole body, but not your hands. And are you going to do hands and
no hands, no neck. Maybe eventually I'll do my feet, but at the moment it's stopped at my ankles, stopped at my collarbones, and then just covers.
Just for the sake of wearing a suit and looking like a clean cut dude?
Yeah, I guess I sort of like to be able to look clean when I need to.
Yeah.
But then also look how I want to look.
Yeah.
Outside of that, but I just sort of like the clean cut look. For me, like I guess like I like people with throat tattoos and stuff like that and hands, and I think it looks good on some people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would suit that, so I never did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I sort of like the clean cut look, but also to be able to look tatted up. And
that's when
my grandma is actually super covered. Like she doesn't have her throat done, but she got her hands done, she got her palms done, like her chest, her whole back is.
How old is she?
Mid-70s.
So, like, did she get all this when she was younger?
When she was younger, yeah. When she was younger, or maybe she's about 70.
Which that had to be crazy because there probably weren't many women in her era that were getting crazy tattoos.
Yeah.
She's probably like the only one.
Yeah, probably. And so she's real heavily tattooed. And I think like maybe when she was probably 5-10 years ago, she got her back like redone, so it looks really good again.
Damn, that's badass.
Yeah, so like when people say like, oh, how's it gonna look when you're old and blah blah, I'm like, I think of my grandma, I'm like, oh, it looks badass. Like,
yeah. Oh, if it doesn't look good, I'll get it redone.
Yeah, exactly.
Technology is awesome. What I know it was a huge deal for you, and you talked about it forever to win the X Games.
Yeah.
And I think since we talked last, you did.
Yeah.
Is that, was it everything you wanted it to be?
Like, yeah, so when I wanted to become a professional BMX rider, I wanted to win X Games. That was my main goal. And coming on the scene, it took me quite a few years. It took me about 3 years of winning events to actually get invited to X Games.
Okay.
So that was a little bit, I won't say annoying, but it was hard to get to X Games.
What the hell do you want?
Yeah, exactly. So I just kept doing what I was doing every year, and I ended up getting to X Games. My first X Games, I got a silver. Second X Games, I got 2 silvers. And then I guess last year was my third X Games. Yeah, third X Games where I got a silver in dirt, and in dirt I was actually sitting in first for a long time, and Lupos actually, on the last run, pulled a good run and got the gold. And
so you were interested in getting 2 golds.
Yeah, exactly. So I was sitting there. I'm like, is this the time? Like, I think, like, and I felt like that was the time. Like, that was the day before Park. And then Lupos pulled that run and won. And then I couldn't pull the run that I actually wanted to do, which means I got the silver. And I was super bummed to take a silver. Like, as bad as that sounds, I was bummed to take the silver because I didn't pull the runs that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
If I pulled the run, I think I would have topped Lupos on that last run.
Did you crash on something?
Nah, I just didn't do the quad whip.
Oh, okay.
So I did like a flip bar whip, triple whip, 7-bar bar.
It was supposed to be quad whip, 7-bar bar.
It was meant to be quad whip, 7-bar bar. And if I did that, I think I would have topped him. But I was bummed that I couldn't do that, and I got a silver. And I'm like, fuck, like when is this going to happen? Like, is it like I don't know. And obviously the next day was Park finals. Which
did that fuck with you mentally going into Park?
It didn't fuck with me at all. It really didn't. Like, I was there to do the job at hand. Like, woke up the next, like, I was bummed, like, saying I was bummed with the silver. I was bummed for 5 minutes, just before the podium. And then I'm like, man, like, I'm here at X Games riding my bike. I just got a silver medal. Like,
what? A silver medal is probably 30 or 40 grand
like,
for you, right?
It was a decent payout.
It's
still,
a good,
Like, it was like, man, like, don't take shit for granted like that. So straight away, I just changed my attitude. Like, focused on Park. Went and had Park practice later that day, and was feeling good on my bike. Woke up the next day happy, excited to ride that event, and feeling good going into that event. And then I ended up winning the gold medal, and to finally win that was I can't even put it into words. It was actually amazing. Like, it was everything I wanted. But I guess, like, to get the silvers. I think I had 4 silver medals before I got the gold.
That's so crazy.
To finally get that gold was unreal.
Kind of, they almost made it sweeter for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just made the hustle of each time I got the silver worth it. Yeah.
So you won the Nitro World Games, you won the X Games, you've won the UCI overall. What's left? The Olympics? Is that about it?
The Olympics, yeah. The Olympics is left. So pretty much after winning, last year, after winning X Games, winning Nitro Games, I won everything that I've set out right now. Obviously, beside the Olympics, because I haven't been there. Yeah. But yeah, one Feast World Feast World Series 2 times in a row. I wanted to win 3 times. That didn't happen. But yeah, pretty much won every event that I've set out to win, and that's a good feeling to tick that off, and to win the gold last year. And then to win Nitro Games, like, obviously Nitro Games is a new event as well. I come second the first year. Second year, I didn't get to ride the event because I knocked myself out.
It was a completely different event too, though.
It was, yeah. So it was the triple box jump, which I'm not a big fan of. They're built pretty crazy.
Those are set up so if you crash, you're fucked.
You're dead. Yeah, exactly right. And I crashed, and obviously I don't remember the crash. I got knocked out, but. I don't know. I guess I missed my hand on a front flip bar no hander just before.
It was like right before.
Like 5 minutes before we were going. I'm just like, I want to do this, get this out of the way.
You were riding good too.
Slipped a hand, and I was feeling pretty decent. Like, I was feeling as good as I could on those jumps. I think they're pretty gnarly jumps. Pretty skinny, super fast for how small. Like not small, but
that roll into like that short first lip. That was a scary setup. Man.
Yeah, it is really crazy. But then when I won Nitro Games, it was at a bowl contest. It was a bowl with park elements, which benefited me, I think. And if we go into detail at that event, it was difficult to win.
That was a cool event.
Yeah, it was a super cool event. I had fun. Like the riding practice all week was super fun. I had to limit my practices so I didn't burn out. Yeah. Because I was having so much fun. And we had sort of the whole week of practice. I think we had qualifying, semi-finals, then the finals. Rode good in qualifying and semis. The next day was finals, or maybe later that day was finals. Yeah, I think it went semis in the morning, finals in the evening.
The final was only 4 dudes, right?
I think it was 6.
6?
Okay,
dudes.
Yeah,
you're right. Because Marin was in there.
Yeah. And felt good in semis. Qualified first. Yeah, had 3 runs in finals, and I was pretty burnt out. My legs were pretty burnt, and I feel like I ride burnt out. A lot of the time.
Part of the job.
But crashed my first run. Stuffed up my second run. I think I was sitting in 5th, coming into my last run, and I was the last rider. So that was super hard. Like I was like, man, I was sort of at that point where I'm like, this isn't my day. Like I was sort of accepting that going into my last run, and yeah, I'm like, man, I don't think it's my day, and I'm pretty burnt out, and I'm just gonna go out there and do what I'm doing. Not doing what I'm doing in finals, but doing what I was doing all week. I just sort of had to go.
No expectations.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just sort of going over it in my head, my run, knowing that I can do it. I've been doing it all week, and yeah, my legs held out for that minute, and I ended up winning the contest, like pulling my run and winning the contest, which ticked off the last event to actually win that hadn't won.
That was a cool contest because it kind of came down to you and Anderson. And you guys do things real differently. Yeah. And it really could have kind of gone either way.
Yeah,
it was
exactly,
close.
Yeah.
It was really close.
Yeah, and I guess we, like, the semifinals, we both had pretty similar runs. Like, obviously, our runs are different, but he did a similar run in finals as to he did in just semis. And
stepped it up in little places.
Just little places, and that's what I did. I stepped it up a little bit in different places. So I sort of went into it knowing that I could top him if I pulled the run with those few little changes. And so when I pulled the run, I'm like, oh, well, I think I'm going to be sitting pretty good now. And then the score came in, and I think I was a point in front maybe, or just in front. So that was really good. But going into a contest with Dennis, obviously it's always going to be difficult. He's super stylish. His style of riding everyone enjoys, and he's super consistent as well, so you sort of know he's going to do well.
I think a big thing that benefits him and could hurt a guy like you is every time he drops into a different event, it's kind of a little bit of an element of mystery.
For sure, yeah, it's always something different.
Within reason, I can guess what you're going to do.
Of course, yeah.
I can probably guess 75, 80% of your run. I know what you're good at. I know what you focus on. With Dennis, it's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and that's what benefits him, because every course is different.
Yep.
There's always different gaps and different transfers, so it's like, fuck, he's going to do that, like, because that's what he does. He does big gaps. Like when I was watching the China event, he was doing that big gap to Warride. I'm like, man, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Like,
it was sick. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, no, and it gets hard too, because I guess that's not as consistent. You go to the wrong course, you might win, you might get 10th.
Yeah.
Whereas so I think he's just not a stereotypical contest.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? Do you like watching a guy like Dennis ride?
I love watching Dennis ride.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that. I really, really enjoy watching him ride. It's not like how I ride at all.
Yeah.
But it looks so good. Like, he makes BMX look so good. He looks good on a bike, and everything he does is really, really interesting on a bike. And he's a super good dude. Like, super humble. Like, he's the best, and he's super humble. Which makes it even better. Like, it's not like he has a shit personality, but he's super good on a bike. It's he has the whole package, and I think that's why he's really likable. He's
a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good dude. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about you had kind of I was telling you this the other day. I was kind of crazy because I look at your 2018 and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, God, Logan had a rough year last year. Then I'm thinking, oh wait, no, you won like 3 of the 4 events you rode that were big events. But you had a couple injuries that, you had one, you came back, and then you had another. So first was the collarbone.
Yeah. So Well, before the collarbone, I crashed at a dirt event in the States, the Toyota triples event. Crashed a quad whip and like face planted the ground and got whiplash, which was shit. Like that sucked. I was only off my bike for a week or so, but that's sort of, I guess, like looking back at it, that spiraled the rest of the year. I'd come back. I didn't ride an event after that crash. But then I was getting ready to go to Saudi Arabia feast and Japan feast and get ready for the season. Tried an old trick that I used to do on a shit resi.
Front flare?
Yeah, front flare. The resi actually stuck out probably a foot past the the takeoff. So
you're
you have
almost
to pull
like
out
pulling
even
out.
more.
Okay.
Which is, I pulled out so much I missed my pop and I landed upside down, broke my collarbone. And then I got the surgery. I didn't have to get the surgery. They just sent me home, but I wanted to get the surgery so I could come back quicker.
Yeah.
And I was, I had a week until my surgery. 2 weeks later, the scar healed up and I was back on my bike. I started riding again because I'm like, I want to try and get to Japan.
I remember we were all in Japan and like looking at videos and we're like, what the hell?
Yeah. So like I got on the bike, I think on Saturday. And that's the day I took the bandage off. I'm like, the scar's cleared. Surgeon said like, it's really not any weaker than it's ever going to be. Just as long as the scar's healed up and it's not infected, then you're pretty good to go. But he did recommend about 4 weeks. But on the Saturday was about 2 weeks since the surgery. And then I would have left on Monday to go to Japan. But I didn't feel too confident and too strong, and I didn't want to go into a contest 60% or even 50%. And I didn't want I can't really go to a contest being like, I'm going to hold back just because of this. And I guess that goes back to being in the spotlight. I always want to look good in front of people. So then I decided not to go to Japan, but come the day of the contest, like I was still riding sort of every few days. But then come like the weekend of Japan event, I was sort of doing all my tricks again. I was doing flare down whips again. I was doing all that stuff, and I'm like, maybe I could have went and still done like decent to get some points. But that played out how it did. With the surgery, actually, I didn't have private health, and because I went privately, I paid for the surgery.
That expensive?
It was about $10,000.
Yeah.
So I paid for that, but I saw a benefit in getting healthy quick, because if I didn't do that,
absolutely,
I would have probably missed Montpellier because it was shattered, like it was broken in a lot of places. It would have been a longer healing time. Like I broke my left collarbone in 2009 maybe, but it was a clean snap and I was back in about 5 weeks. But this one was shattered, so it was going to be about 8 to 10 weeks, which I think it would have been about the same time as Montpellier. So I said, I'll pay for the surgery, get back on my bike quicker, get ready for Montpellier when I decided to miss Japan. And then I went to Montpellier, come second, and made enough money to cover that surgery, which I saw benefit because then I also got points too.
Yeah.
Little did I know I was going to also be out for China with torn ligaments in my ankle. So
what did you do there? What was the crash?
Yeah, so I did a barrel roll double whip. I feel super comfortable doing barrel roll whips over transfers and stuff like that, and I know I can do barrel roll double whips, and I did them back in the day. I just wanted to start doing them again. So at home, I have nowhere to practice that stuff. So I went down to Ramfest. It was the week before China, and I was doing. They had like an airbag set up, and I'm like, I'll do some in the foam pit, and I'll do it on the airbag, like an airbag landing. So I did them then. Did a couple on the resi that day. The next day I was riding, just doing my stuff. Did one on the resi, barrel roll double whip, good. Like kept riding. About half an hour later, I'm like, I'll do another one, just like get them consistent. My foot got stuck in my wheel and like blew my ankle apart. So at first I thought I snapped it. Like my leg landed, like the middle of my shin landed in the back of my wheel, and it jammed like at the top of my wheel. So I'm like, fuck, like I snapped my leg. Took my ankle brace off. Nothing was sort of loose or anything like that. I'm like, maybe I've just done something to my ankle. Turns out I tore a ligament across the top of my ankle, damaged ligaments at the back of my ankle, and there's like a tendon or a ligament that runs up through the two bones. So then that's called like a high ankle sprain. So I damaged that.
So you screwed it up.
I screwed it up pretty bad. And I also had like a microfracture in the joint of my ankle, which takes all the pressure, like on impact and stuff like that. And if that was to get like any worse, that was a microfracture. So if it was to get any worse, they can't go in and fix it. So it pretty much fucked my ankle. So if I just landed hard on my pedal or on my crank arm in my sense, but it could have blew that microfracture into a bigger fracture, and would have ruined my ankle even more.
You couldn't ride.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, I couldn't really. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a few years ago I rode Montpellier with a really bad ankle. No one knew about it. I didn't let anyone know. But I sprained my ankle real bad. Didn't get it checked up, and didn't ride for about 3 weeks leading into Montpellier. But I just taped it up, so it literally couldn't move back and forward, side to side. It was like I was losing, like I had no feeling in it, no blood flow was going through when I was riding. But I feel like that was worse. That felt worse than it did at the time, like of China.
Oh, okay.
Like a couple of weeks after, it was starting to feel better than it did when I was riding in Montpellier with that sprained ankle, or that whatever I did to it. I never had it checked, but just knowing what was wrong with it, doctors like this Cycling Australia doctors obviously wanted me to be there, but they enforced that I shouldn't go and shouldn't ride on it, physio and stuff like that. Just knowing that. Sort of changed my mind mentally, just knowing now I've got to be smart about this.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, obviously I was just wanting to get to these events. I wanted to ride these events, and that's what I want to do that now as well. But I want to be smart about it too. I think that was the smartest move, was missing that, and it was tough. I mean,
was there any surgery or anything there? Or do you just
there was no surgery.
Out?
It was just wait. Yeah, I was in a boot for 4 weeks. On crutches, so I was fucking
miserable.
Like I was doing nothing. I didn't want to do anything because I didn't like crutching around. Didn't want to go to the shops or anything. Like it was miserable for 4 weeks. Like I just and at that time I was on crutches for the China event as well. So I was in a shit place already, and then I had to watch the event.
Yeah.
So it was it was tough. Like it was a shit time. Then when I could start walking on it after that 4 weeks, they said about 2 more weeks, just like ease into it, sort of like crutch, but sort of walk a little bit or walk in the boot, which I was stoked. Like walking in the boot felt so good to just be walking again.
Actual human being.
Yeah, exactly. So that started to lift my spirits, and then we started physio and started doing all that stuff, and it was just a waiting game really for it to be better.
Feel 100% now,
and it's all good now. Yeah, like it's 100%. Every now and then I'll tweak it a little bit. When I first started riding on it again, like I'll tweak it probably twice a session. Now I'm tweaking it maybe once every 2 weeks. Like it's really good now. So it's good in that sense. It's back to normal. I've got full mobility in it. It's not as I guess flexible as my other ankle, but it's flexible enough to do
it's more flexible than you tape the hard and can't move it
exactly
at all.
Right. So it was definitely a hell of a year to go from crossing off a few goals, but also going through a lot of injuries. And even before X Games, I had a fucked back. Like no one really knew about that. I don't like to tell people my injuries, because unless they're going through it, they don't understand it. So I don't really like to.
Well, and in this game, I mean, is anybody ever literally 100%?
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know what
right.
I mean?
You always got niggling injuries and stuff like that, and like I had a bulging disc in my back, and it was about. That was in South Africa actually. I was at a South African event. The week before South Africa was Montpellier. So in Montpellier, I also had a bad back, but it wasn't too bad. South Africa, it got super bad. So then I went home, rested for 2 weeks. Rested for about a week and a half, no riding, no gym. And it was about 4 weeks out from X Games, or 5 weeks out from X Games. And so I wanted to get better before that. So I rested, rode a little bit, one day, had about 3 days rest, rode, doing a little bit of gym work, and it just wasn't getting better. And got about 2 weeks out from X Games. Or Feast Edmonton till I was leaving for that trip. Got about 2 weeks out, and I said, I'm like, well, I'm going to have a week off to see if it's going to get any better. If it's not better, I'm going to get a cortisone shot.
Yep.
I went through the Cycling Australia doctors and made sure it was all legal.
Yeah.
Because I'm obviously going through the process of being drug tested and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was all fine. I just couldn't have it within 7 days of competing.
Okay.
With the injection, it was different if you were taking like pills or cortisone pills. But I got the injection. Three days later, it took about 3 days to actually work fully. So I had 3 days off. Back was perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, back was perfect. Haven't had an issue with it now. So it's I guess it decreases the inflammation and it just fixed itself. Like it lasts 3 to 6 months, but I haven't had a problem. It's been almost a year now. So
don't ask questions.
Yeah, it worked for me, and then I went to Edmonton, won X Games, and yeah. So I was battling injuries all year. Even the ones people didn't know about, it was a rough year, and it was strong, but it was hard to stay like strong mentally, but I was just trying to be positive the whole time. I just understand that stuff happens.
Yeah, well now you're...
And that was my year to get the injuries, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you're in the Olympic qualifying period.
Yeah.
You got important shit to do, shit to win. What do you think of Saudi Arabia so far?
I'm enjoying it. It's a different culture. It's definitely different to anything I've ever experienced, and I love traveling to new places and experiencing different cultures. This one's one level above the next, with all their rules and stuff like that. Like we were trying to get a visa for Kim to come over here and experience this culture as well, but like it's super hard for females to get into this country. And like I read some rules, like if you're not actually married, you can't walk next to each other, you can't hold hands. Like she'd have to walk 10 meters behind me if we'll like walk into the event or whatever. Which is like, that's crazy. Like that's hectic. And all the females here have to be fully covered up and stuff like that. It's something else. Like it's really something else.
It's different because there's times I'm hanging out at the event or walking down the street and it just feels like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the hotel, getting coffee, everything. And then it's like,
all pretty normal.
But that's I guess it's just the culture because everybody's cool. Nobody seems like to look down upon Westerners being here wearing normal clothes and stuff. Exactly, everybody's been cool and nice and stuff. So
that's the cool thing about experiencing different cultures is I guess they sort of understand different cultures as well.
Yeah,
and they accept that.
And they have good food here.
Yeah,
for
the food's awesome. Yeah.
What's next for you? Game plan for the year? Kicking ass?
Become a dad.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But yeah, no, my main goal is to stay healthy this year. Obviously, I'm still working as hard as I ever have, and I just want a really good year this year, and I want to qualify for the Olympics. I want to get to the Olympics next year, and that's really what's on my radar right now. And obviously, I want to back up an X Games gold medal.
Yep.
Man, I wanted to back up the World Championship gold medal last year. Wasn't able to, so that's my main goal. That's also another main goal this year is to win the championship. That was really a big one for me when I won that. So to win that again will be awesome. I can't wait to ride all the events this year.
Just crash less.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm trying to just stay healthy, stay focused, and ride my best. And right now we're sort of in the works to get some decent setups back home, which I think is going to benefit me. And I think I'm really looking forward to that, and also becoming a dad, which is obviously going to make it tougher for me. It is going to be tough, but
hopefully it's going to give you some motivation you didn't know you had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that's the thing. Is like I don't know what to expect, but I'm still going to be doing my best, and become a dad, and support my family.
Final question: who's your favorite bike rider of all time?
Favorite bike rider of all time, probably Mad Dog.
Yeah.
I looked up to him a lot. Like I enjoyed watching him riding.
Is he older than you?
When I was younger. No, he's younger. I think he's 1 year younger, but he was obviously on the scene earlier than me.
Yep.
He was on the scene real early. He had a lot of control. He had big tricks. He landed smooth, and it just looked real good. He made it look natural, which I guess I took a lot of inspiration from that, and I tried to sort of follow that path. And probably Mad Dog. Like obviously there's idols like Dave Mirra and stuff like that. But I really took inspiration from watching Mad Dog ride.
The one thing I really think set him apart, and you don't hear people talking about it a whole lot, is his pump.
Yeah.
He had the ability to just be going slow and land, and just be hauling ass at the next thing.
Which is crazy. His style was really something else, which is comes down to like the way he pumped. He had such like an upright stance, and Yeah, his pump was just something else, and he just made everything look easy.
Yeah. Well, Logan, congratulations on your success
Thank
and being a father. And if you need inspiration for a name, I recommend using mine. And thanks for sitting down and doing this again. I won't delete it.
That's perfect. Hopefully this one makes it online.
All right, let's go do some Saudi Arabian stuff. All right, that does it for this week. Big thank you to Logan Martin for making the time. Be sure to follow him on Instagram at Logan Martin BMX. There's a good chance that you already do, because I think about 300,000 or 400,000 people do. And until next time, just remember, it doesn't count if you don't pull the rollback. See ya.